Have you ever met someone who changed your life in an instant? Not over months or years, but in a single, fleeting moment? I have, and I've spent every day since then trying to understand how it happened and where she went. It all started on what I thought would be my last day. I was standing on the edge of the old city bridge, the one that spans the murky depths of the river. The world had become a blur of gray, the weight of everything. The failures, the loneliness, the crushing silence of my apartment. It had all become too much. The wind was biting, whipping at my jacket, almost as if it was trying to push me forward. I closed my eyes, took a shallow breath, and prepared to let go. And then I heard a voice. It wasn't loud, but it cut through the howling wind like a shard of glass. "The view's better from over here," it said. I opened my eyes, standing a few feet away, leaning against the railing as casually as if she were waiting for a bus, was a woman. She had hair the color of a raven's wing, tied back in a messy bun, and eyes so dark they seemed to hold the night sky. She was wearing a simple, worn-out leather jacket and jeans, but she carried herself with an elegance that felt completely out of place on that grim, forgotten bridge. "What?" I managed to croak out, my voice raw. She gestured with her head towards the city skyline, now glittering with the first lights of evening. "The skyline," she said, her lips curving into a small, knowing smile. "It's a shame to miss it. Most people just drive past. They never stop to really look." I was stunned into silence. Here I was at the lowest point of my life, ready to end it all, and this complete stranger was talking to me about the view. There was no judgment in her voice, no panic, no pleading. Just a calm, simple observation. I wasn't looking at the view, I stammered, feeling foolish. "I know," she replied softly, "but maybe you should." She walked closer, stopping beside me, her shoulder almost brushing mine. We stood there in silence for what felt like an eternity, just watching the city lights flicker to life one by one. The cold didn't seem so biting anymore. The roar of the traffic below faded into a distant hum. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about the end. I was just there, present. "My name's Ilara," she said finally, turning to face me. "Leo," I replied. "Leo," she repeated, testing the name on her tongue. "It's a strong name. It's like a lion." She smiled again, and this time it reached her eyes. They crinkled at the corners, and for a second, the vast darkness within them seemed to sparkle. Over the next few hours we talked, or rather she talked and I listened. She didn't ask me why I was on the bridge. She didn't offer platitudes or empty reassurances. Instead, she told me stories. She told me about a time she got lost in a Moroccan souk and ended up having dinner with a family of spice merchants. She described the taste of wild strawberries she'd picked on a mountainside in the Alps. She spoke of the sound of the ocean at dawn on a deserted beach in Thailand. Her stories were vivid, painting pictures in my mind that were so much more colorful than the gray world I had been living in. She spoke of life not as a series of obligations and disappointments, but as a grand, unpredictable adventure. A collection of moments, both big and small, waiting to be experienced. "You see," she said, pointing to a tiny, flickering light on a distant skyscraper. "Someone in that office is probably working late, hating their job. But maybe, just maybe, they're looking out their window right now, seeing this same view and feeling a little bit of peace. Life's full of those little pockets of beauty, Leo. You just have to be open to seeing them." As she spoke, a warmth spread through my chest, a feeling I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't happiness, not yet. It was something more fragile, more tentative. It was hope. The night grew deeper, and the city hummed with a quiet energy. We shared a cheap bar of chocolate she pulled from her pocket, the sweetness, a stark contrast to the bitterness that had filled my life. We laughed when a stray cat rubbed against her leg, purring loudly. In those few hours, on that cold, lonely bridge, Ilara had built a small, safe harbor for me in the middle of my storm. She had shown me that there was still warmth in the world. Eventually, the first hint of dawn began to paint the eastern sky in shades of purple and orange. A new day, a day I never expected to see. "I have to go," she said softly, her voice carrying a note of finality. A sudden panic seized me. "Wait, where are you going? Can I see you again? Your number? Your anything?" I didn't want this feeling to end. I didn't want her to disappear and take this newfound hope with her. She just smiled that same enigmatic smile. You don't need my number, Leo. You just need to remember to look at the view. She reached out and placed a small, smooth, dark stone in my palm, closing my fingers around it. It was cool to the touch. Find your own stories, she whispered, and then she turned and walked away. I watched her figure recede into the pre-dawn gloom, her silhouette merging with the shadows until she was gone. Just like that. She vanished as mysteriously as she had appeared. I never saw Alara again. Went back to that bridge every day for a month, hoping she'd reappear. I searched online, scoured social media, but it was like she never existed. No last name, no address, no digital footprint, just a first name and a collection of stories. For a while, I thought I might have imagined her. A hallucination brought on by despair, a last-ditch effort by my mind to save itself. But then I'd open my hand and see the stone. It was real. She was real. Her disappearance left a void, but it wasn't the same empty void I had felt before. This one was different. It was filled with questions, with wonder, and with a promise I had made to myself. A promise to find my own stories. I didn't become a world traveler overnight. I didn't suddenly climb mountains or get lost in exotic markets. The change was slower, more subtle. I started small. I took a different route to work and discovered a little bakery with the best croissants I'd ever tasted. I started visiting the local library and got lost in books about faraway places. I went to a concert by myself, something I would have never done before, and felt the music vibrate through my entire body. I started saying yes to things: a weekend hiking trip with a coworker, a pottery class, a volunteer opportunity at the animal shelter. Each yes was a new story, a new pocket of beauty. Each experience was a brushstroke of color on the gray canvas of my past. Life didn't magically become easy. There were still bad days. Days when the old grayness tried to creep back in. But on those days, I would take out the small, dark stone she gave me. I'd hold it in my hand, feel its smoothness, and remember her voice. The view's better from over here, and I would force myself to look up. I'd look for the skyline, for the color of the sunset, for the face of a stranger smiling. I'd look for the view. I don't know who Alara was. Maybe she was an angel. Maybe she was just a kind, perceptive woman who happened to be in the right place at the right time. Or maybe she was a bit of a wanderer herself, someone who understood what it was like to feel lost. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the gift she gave me. She didn't save my life with a heroic act. She saved it with a conversation. She saved it by reminding me that life, in all its messy, unpredictable, and sometimes painful glory, is worth experiencing. She taught me that you don't have to change the entire world to make it better. Sometimes you just have to change your perspective. You just have to stop and look at the view. I still have her stone. I carry it with me everywhere. It's a reminder. A reminder that even in the darkest of moments, a single voice, a single act of kindness can relight the world. And a reminder that there are always, always more stories to be found. You just have to be willing to live them. Thank you for listening to my story. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that there are people who want to help. There are resources and hotlines available, and reaching out is a sign of incredible strength. You are not alone. Please, take care of yourselves, and remember to look for the beauty around you.